Hey guys, in today's video, we're talking Geelong, the players that you should consider and the ones you probably shouldn't for your Supercoach team. Hope you enjoy. Geelong is one of those teams that I'm not sure has always been Supercoach relevant in terms of having a lot of players, but over the years, there's definitely had a lot of key position players or key players in our Supercoach teams in general that have always been relevant. We're going back to like the Jimmy Bartell days, the Tom Hawkins days, the Jeremy Cameron days. Maybe not super relevant in Supercoach, but people did play them. And obviously, they did have big weeks where 200 odd points against the North Melbourne or West Coast or whoever's unfortunate enough to play them that week. This year is definitely dominated by a couple of players, someone in the defense that we'll definitely look at and have a bit of a talk about, and then a few rookies coming through. As the team ages, funnily enough, everyone keeps saying Geelong retirement home, and now they're kind of recycling players and cycling through players, right? So as Geelong ages, there's opportunities for a lot of young kids. Let's check out who I reckon are Supercoach relevant this year. Starting off with the back line. I mean, Tom Stewart kind of says for himself, right? Surprisingly, at the moment, he's about 21-ish% owned. I think after the preseason games and after Sicily and a few other guys kind of fade out a little bit, Tom Stewart's going to jump up. Fantastic player. There has been some talk about him playing some more midfield time. But as Joe and I have said in all our numerous streams and just conversations online, Tom Stewart playing midfield maybe isn't the worst thing. It's looking like whenever he does play midfield, he just starts there and then runs back to the back line. So if that's the case, hey, you don't need to be worried about him. He's a lot more consistent, I think, than basically everyone else in the defense, barring maybe a Dacos this year. Sicily, for example, last year dropped about 50 to 60K minimum between his starting price and his lowest price. Tom Stewart, from when we had a look at his scoring before, was only about 20K. So what that means overall is generally Tom Stewart's scoring is fairly even. It's fairly high. But if you don't start him, people are going to have to spend 3 trades to bring him in. Yes, there is injury concerns. Everyone has injury concerns, things like that. But Radigali has left. The back line needs him at Geelong. And I think they're not at the retirement age yet. They want to keep pushing for finals. And I think Tom Stewart being around the ball, being that general in the back line, definitely helps with that. If we look at our next player, Connor O'Sullivan. Now, we've talked about Tom Stewart being always there. Connor O'Sullivan could definitely be the future of Geelong's backline. The kid is very good. He's a key defender, so he's kind of probably taking what would have been Radagalia's role if he had stayed at the club. And Geelong did not want to let go of this kid. I believe they did the odd trade up with Adelaide. Only ended up being one spot because they knew they could keep O'Sullivan in the team. Fantastic player, really good key defender, and looking like at the moment that he's actually playing a real role and should be playing in the ones every week. Being a defender, yes, he might be relegated to your 50s, 60s, 70s scores, but if he takes an intercept or two like we know he can, he could jump up and have those games where, hey, it's going to punish your opposition if they don't have him. One to definitely watch over the preseason games, but I guess that's why these videos are out, right? Into the midfield, Cam Guthrie. I'm not a big fan, but there definitely are some other content creators that are just like, get on the Cam Guthrie train. When he's fit, similar to a Matt Crouch, he has the potential to put out big scores. And maybe he's the one at Geelong that kind of pushes out Patrick Dangerfield or a few of these other type players. Maybe he takes a bit of Selwood's mid-time. But I just don't trust his durability in the body. He's not in my team at the moment. Let me know in the comments, hey, is he in yours? And why are you picking Cam Guthrie? Is it the price? Is it no early buys? Is it a fixture thing? Let me know. Jai Clark is one who's definitely been in my midfield on the bench and hasn't left all season. Fantastic player. I believe he was picked up not last year or 2023 draft, but the one after, and had some injuries that kept him out of the team. From all reports, he's flying in the preseason, seems to have really kind of cemented a spot for him. And I believe he's about 45 to 50% owned at the moment when I'm making this video. So a lot of super coaches agree. I think these bench spots, there's definitely some opportunity for some really good players. and some good bench coverage while some of our midfielders take time off. Jai Clark could be that for us. It's up to the preseason to tell us why we shouldn't be picking him instead of why we should be picking him. Geelong and Rucks have never really been Supercoach relevant, but this year we might actually have one. Toby Conway. Now, he is touted to be the future for Geelong, but it comes really down to, hey, is he going to be the future this year, next year, or the year after? Stanley, Blitzarves, a few of these other tall players who've been the Geelong ruck line over the past few years are still doing really well, and they should still play. But Toby Conway has to be blooded at some point, and I've heard some preseason murmurings that, hey, he's been holding his own a little bit, which in Supercoach, that's all we need. I don't know how many other R3s are going to be playing. So if you can hold out and pick a Toby Conway, he might actually be some decent value for you. Wait and see for the preseason games. Even if they use him as like a forward option and then a ruck relief, I think that's going to tempt a lot of people this year, especially with your Gawn and Grundys being out and needing cover for those players. Admittedly, it's only best 18, but needing cover for those players, Conway could be the cover that we desperately want, and the people who are able to pay up for might get the dividends out of that. Moving into the forward line. Now, I was going to put Tom Hawkins in here, but I just don't know if he's going to be the most relevant player at his price. But Jeremy Cameron does offer some value at 462k. Depending on Geelong's early buy rounds, depending on Geelong's early form and who their fixture is, Jeremy Cameron could be similar to a Hogan that we'll talk about in the GWS video as someone who can make some quick bank that you can go off and sideways trade. If he kicks 3 goals, 4 goals, 5 goals against some weaker teams, hey, offload him off, get a 550k player, potentially even a midfielder if you've got someone with DPP come around 6 or 7. One to watch. He's not in my team, but we've got to talk about options here at the centre bounce. Sean Manor is the last player that we're going to be talking about. Picked up basically from the VFL, has been picked up and brought to Geelong. We know what they did similar to Tyson Stengel a couple of years ago. Straight away played. There is some reports at the moment. Some people are saying, hey, he's flying, he's dominating, he should be in round 1. Other people are saying Sean Manor played a little bit of the Bs, so the seconds team in their match sims. Geelong are one of those clubs that very rarely lets, information go from the match sims outside of people actually watching them. And being in Geelong, unless it's an open training, you very rarely actually get those reports from fans. So someone to definitely watch over the preseason games. I think he's about 65% owned at the moment. Take that as you will. But I think at the price, DPP, definitely one to watch. And someone who I've had in and out of my team alongside of a couple of other players. Let me know down in the comments, is he in your team? What's happening? Well, guys, that's my review of the relevant players from Geelong. There's not as many as some teams, but with the likes of Stewart's in there and Camp Guthrie, they could end up being a lot more relevant as a team than kind of what we thought to begin with. Remember, we've got our Supercoach League that's coming out as well. Some amazing prizes there. You guys can win a jersey, win some tickets to an AFL game or an AFL voucher. Guys, we're trying to grow the channel. So tell your friends, subscribe to the Centre Bounce. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the most relevant player series that I've been doing. I think this is about episode 7 or 8 and another 10 to go. So you'll get all of them before Sunday, before the preseason game. And you guys can kind of follow along as the game goes. That's the idea of these as well. So stay tuned for the rest. Hope you've been enjoying the content. Remember, here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work so you don't have to.